It was extremely difficult while I was on vacation for the past 2 weeks to not at least be aware of what was happening in Canada, yet alone the world, right? I go to the bathroom real quick. I see what's trending on Twitter. Of course, Trudeau for treason, Trudeau's destroying Canada. All those things are constantly, they have been constantly trending on Twitter for the past almost year, almost 2 years, kind of since this whole pandemic started, if I'm being honest. And then Stephen Harper endorses Pierre Poilievre. There's so many things to cover. Bear with me if I'm a little scatterbrained. I'm trying to stay focused. Right now, we're going to be touching. Oh my god. Oh my god. I forgot how to do YouTube videos. We're going to be talking about the Dutch farmers and the trickle effect that has had in Canada. Does Canada stand with Dutch farmers? I mean, that's up to you to decide. But the answer is ultimately yes. Thousands of Canadians have gone ahead and done convoys and protests in light of the Dutch farmers because, well, climate change, folks. We're going to tax you more money to fix the climate, and then we're going to take everything away from you, and you're going to own nothing and be happy. And you know how it goes, right? I actually spoke to Live from the Shed, Dave from Live from the Shed, when I left my family reunion. It was on Thousand Island. So I took a ferry. I think it's Wolf Island, something like that. And then I was in Kingston. Yeah, Kingston. And I was filling up on gas, and I called Live from the Shed, and I said, hey, man, I think you live somewhere around here. What's up? I'm in town. I'm done with my family for a little bit, right? The reunion's done. Now it's friends' time. And he was actually just starting the convoy from, I don't know where it is, but all the way to Toronto to like Vaughan Mills Mall. So we're going to get into clips of that. He asked if I was joining. I was on vacation. I would have loved to go. I would have loved to go. I saw some people on the bridge protesting. I saw people holding flags. I honked. You probably wouldn't have recognized me because I was in a unmarked car. So there's no way. But yeah, it seemed like a great time. I would have loved to participate. But again, folks, vacation, you got to step away. You got to step away at some point and just reboot. So let's take a look here at kind of the latest headlines for Trudeau with the farmers. Trudeau spars with farmers on climate plan, risking grain output. Canada wants to cut fertilizer emissions, but farmers say it could result in less food. Well, who do you think knows more about farming and the amount of work that gets put in to the amount of food? Do you think that would be Trudeau, or do you think that would be actual farmers? I think that's a bit of a no-brainer. Canola seeds sit in a grain cart on a farm in Manitoba, Canada. That's what this photo is. I flew above Manitoba in Saskatchewan. It's quite flat. It is very noticeable when you reach BC or Alberta. Alberta's side of BC. Who are we kidding? Alberta. You guys have mountains, but we all know it's like basically part of BC. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, pushed to accelerate the fight against climate change, is sparking a showdown with nation's farmers, who say it's threatening food supply and their profits. Do you think Justin Trudeau cares one bit about that? I'll save you the time. Guarantee you he does not care. The government is proposing to cut emissions from fertilizer 30% by 2030 as part of a plan. Why is that highlighted with like weird alien bubble? As part of a plan, we'll just skip that, to get to net zero in the next 3 decades. Well, I've yet to see anybody have electric tractors or those things, or electric transport trucks, or electric flights like planes, electric cargo ships, and all those things. It just seems unrealistic. This push to make things happen so fast. I know 2030 seems like a long way, but there's billions of people. It takes a long time to make shifts like this. And yeah, this isn't good. As we've seen, this is not good for the economy. Hence, carbon taxes and things like that. Just additional taxes for owning regular things that cost an average amount of money, whereas now the government wants to force people to buy, electric vehicles that take forever to charge and that we just can't afford. Who's going to pay $100,000 or $75,000 for an electric car when you can buy a $10,000 gas vehicle that can do the job just fine? Okay. Also at stake is the estimated 10.4 billion. Oh, Canadian. Ha, of course. 8 billion American dollars that farmers could lose this decade from the reduced output. Well, if there's anything that I don't want to mess with, or anyone I don't want to mess with, it would be the people that make our food. It's not all made in a lab. A lot of what we eat comes from actual ground, like all our veggies and stuff. All of our meat comes from animals. Like, we shouldn't be pissing them off, I don't think. But again, I'm not Castro here. The tension comes as efforts to cut carbon dioxide emissions related to energy are lagging. So policymakers are increasingly looking to other sectors, including agriculture. So they're just panicking and they're like, hey, someone's got to bite the bullet and we're just going to do that to farmers. Climate targets on nitrogen in the Netherlands, for example, speared protests from farmers worried they'd be forced out of business. And that protest, by the way, is not going well. Like, it's not pretty. I mean, they're still holding the line, the Dutch farmers, and they're still making their presence known. But it's like, it's chaotic. Things are getting lit on fire. Bales of hay are getting lit on fire. The police just, it's not good. It's not good. Like, protests to this extent, they're never good, right? Like, the Freedom Convoy isn't good. Like, it was needed, but the fact that it happened, like the fact that Canadians got pushed into a corner, that's what I mean by it isn't good. The fact that citizens just don't know how to respond, and we can't just change policies, and politicians aren't listening to us, so we need to come together in the thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions and like fight back. Like, that's not good for society. We've lost all trust in politicians and policymakers. That's not good, folks. Angry Dutch farmers brought cows to Parliament, threatened to slaughter them, and blockaded food distribution centers serving major supermarkets. Okay, that's also not good. Slaughtering cows on Parliament, it seems like a war crime. I don't know how much I believe that, and if it did happen, that's also not good. Like, can you imagine walking in Canada, walking around Ottawa, or like just minding your day with your family, and then seeing a bunch of cows getting slaughtered out in public? I mean, that's how we get our food. But again, this is not good. Like, that's that's like action, like not calls to action, but it's like a threat almost, just a little bit. It's a weird thing to do. I don't know if I agree with that, but the convoys is a much safer and more reliable way to protest than to slaughter cows, in my opinion. If you push farmers against a wall with no wiggle room, I don't know where this will end up, said Gunter, president of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association. Okay, which represents growers who farm about 3 million acres. That's huge. That's a lot. That's a tremendous amount. It's like half a province. Just look at, or a whole province. Just look at what's happening in Europe, in the Netherlands. They've had enough of it. Production losses could be significant, according to an analysis commissioned by Fertilizer Canada. Canada could lose over 160 million metric tons of canola, corn, and spring wheat between 2023 and 2030 due to the plan, according to the report. That's nearly double Canada's expected grain production this season. We don't know where this goes, right? These elites, these policymakers, these people in power, they have all these crazy ambitions to, change the world and put their name in history books as we solve climate change. We solve climate change. The weather is getting hotter. There's a natural shift that occurs, and I'm not a scientist, but there's a natural shift that occurs on this planet where the core temperature naturally gets warmer and then naturally gets colder over the span of thousands of years, right? That's in science books. That I can stand by. Now, are we exacerbating? Are we adding to the issue and making it go faster? There's a possibility. But we need to be reasonable on how we approach this and the timelines. And this like forceful shift of making all these rules and regulations, all these policies that strip us from freedoms, that force us to do things that we can't pay for, right? Like inflation has reached all-time highs every month for the past several, like this entire year almost of 2022. And are you getting 8% more paycheck? I'm not getting 8% more paycheck. No one's getting more money. Our currency has stayed the same for years, right? The amount of pay we get has stayed the same for years, but inflation is becoming crazier and crazier, and things are becoming more expensive. And now the shift to electric is even more unreasonable because it's not affordable. Take it from someone who lived in a van powered by solar, whose entire life depended on solar and electricity, and I've hooked up my batteries. They're not expensive. They're not cheap. It's actually very, very expensive to have, like, to buy lithium batteries, to buy solar, to buy all that stuff. And it's not 100% reliable. Canada doesn't get sun 100% of the time, especially on the West Coast. So solar power out here isn't as useful as people might try and make it seem. And so this shift to everything being electric and now attacking the farmers, where does it end? I'd like to pass the question off to you if you made it this far in the video. Where are we going? Where does this end? They're going after farmers. Who are they going after next, right? What could they possibly... They've already tried to go after truck drivers, farmers. Who's next, right? I'd like to pass that question off to you. And now we're going to take a quick little peek at this clip here. When I see this clip, it makes me wish that I actually did go to Vaughan Mills on my way back from my family reunion. But nonetheless, I'm seeing it now here. Yeah, that's a lot of people. Oh my God. Look at all the people, man. That's huge. And so this has been live from the shed. He's got some good, convoy etiquette and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's cool that people are still getting together and they're still showing their support, especially for something like the Netherlands, where during the Freedom Convoy in Canada in January, February, March, that mostly happened in Ottawa, and then the Ambassador Bridge and stuff like that. Countries came together and showed their support for Canada. You had countries around the world waving the Canadian flag, and it was very heartwarming, right? It brought a lot of people to tears to see that other people are getting the message, and that this is coming to a town near you, right? Essentially, is look what they're doing in Canada. Canada's a known test hub for the World Economic Forum. A lot of these crazy shifts start in Canada, and then they try to implement them in other countries, and then we get distracted. We get distracted as Canadians, and then new policies come back here, and rinse and repeat, and it's just a perpetual cycle of our freedoms being taken from us. So that's today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.